Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah amma ba'd. Okay, Juan, so we're in the second bit of starting the text. We attempted it last week and we got pretty drained after the title and subtitle, and the challenge today is actually to finish the page. Okay. However, inshallah, I'm going to try and make it light because we're not going to grammatically analyze every single line, every single sentence, but we're going to capture on some of the patterns that we should be familiar with. Maybe in one line go into a little bit more detail. In some other lines we won't go into so much detail. And the other thing is there will be some grammar points which I don't choose to actually introduce today. So we will just skip it because it's not the timing's not right, because it will start to mess up in terms of what we have already understood. So I may just skip over some grammatical issues to a later point when it's seemed the right time to introduce a new issue. Okay, so we did the title and the subtitle, and in that, just from what we recalled, we had a bit of a discussion about man. And we understood that actually man is not the harf, but is actually an ism. And the reason that it's ism because it's a pronoun, an interrogative pronoun. So you have personal pronouns, which are like he, she, they. You have possessive pronouns, which is like his or her. You've got interrogative, questioning pronouns like who. And so we introduced that pronouns are broader, and that's why man is actually a pronoun and not a harf, but it's still an ism, and we understood that because it's an ism that it must be, and if it's a sentence it must be a jumla ismiyah, in which case it needs to have a mubtada and khabar. And the idea for us was to be able to divide it, which we managed to do, because the ism was pretty straightforward, it's the mubtada, and the Qasr al-Asnama was actually the khabar. And the new point for us was to actually realize that the khabar can consist of more than one word. It can actually consist of a sentence. And Qasr al-Asnama is actually a sentence in itself. It's a jumla fi'liya. Yeah? That actually takes the space of the khabar. So that was the point there. So there was the divide, and between the mubtada and khabar, and then we took the subtitle Ba'i'ul Asnam, the seller of the idols, and the point that we realized there that this was a phrase, so murakkab ghayru mufid, and we also realized, and we understood that that was the case because of the pattern that we were seeing, that we noted that there were two isms, and that this was the first ism was without tanween and definite article. So that gave us the clue that this was a mudaf mudaf ilay phrase. And you saw that the al-asnam was in the state of jar, as opposed to mansub, nasab, yeah, which is asnama in the title. Okay, and the reason that it's in nasab is because it's a maf'ul bihi, yeah, which is the object of the verbal sentence. Yeah, so there we really finished, and now what we will do is actually go into the text that follows it. And so one of the things I just want to clear up a little bit of confusion from last week is that, just to clarify clearly, because I knew there was a little bit of confusion, is that Lughat al-Arabi, the language of Arabic, I said that was its main focus is grammatical, as opposed to Inglesi, which is English, which is more vocabulary orientated. Okay, it doesn't mean that vocabulary doesn't have any bearing on the meaning. Of course it does, the meaning in itself. So clearly it's going to give us a clue of what it is, or whether it's an ism, whether it's going to be a harf, or whether it's going to be a verb. It's clearly from the meaning. So both are needed, Okay, but the point we're trying to make is that there's a lot more grammatical emphasis in the Arabic language. Okay, and so that grammatical emphasis becomes more apparent when the actual sentence is complicated. Then you'll find that you're using the grammar much more. Okay, whereas in English, if you have a 25-word sentence, you've got commas, semicolons, you've got quote marks, you have a lot of things to help you to work out what's going on without actually looking at the grammar. And you know it is pretty straightforward that the meaning really gives what's going on in the sentence, whereas in Arabic it's not the case. And the sentence that we're going to cover will tell us this. So this first line, قبل أيام كثيرة جدا كان في قرية رجل مشهور جدا. Okay, so I'll just go through the basic meaning of it, and then we'll go through the grammatical analysis. Yeah, so it says like قبل, before أيام, before days, كثيرة, many, كثيرة جدا, very many, كان في قرية, there was in a town, رجل مشهور, there was a famous man, جدا, very famous man. Okay, so we understood in that sense just a simple translation of each word really conveys the full meaning, because it's a simple sentence. Okay, but our task now is to actually break it down in terms of how we were taught. Right. So my question, and it's these are not straightforward answers to this, but it's trying to make you think, is what kind of jumla are we dealing with? Can anyone think and work out? Now,
in the sense of ismiya or fi'liya?
yeah, so ismiya or fi'liya. Now, any question I'm going to ask you, we've covered the material, right? So you have the tools to work this out. However, what you don't have is the application and the various application of those tools. So that's the missing component. But the actual tools you have, we have covered. So can anyone tell me? Okay, so as we do with any question, yeah, because
there is no fail in it.
Okay, so
It doesn't start with fail. Qabla, it starts with qabla, which is, before.
Yes.
So that's not a fail. So that's why it's jumla ismiya.
Okay.
And I would say it's غير مفيد.
Why is it غير مفيد? What, the whole structure?
Because I'm talking about the first line only. Are you talking about both the lines?
So,
I'm talking about qabla ayam and kasira.
Okay, so I gave you a clue, and the clue was that I actually read out the whole thing. Now you can see beshak, there's full stops there. Okay, I would actually say that's not necessarily required, but I would say, Ahmed, you're absolutely right. If you took the full stops, then you are absolutely right that you're actually dealing with a غير مفيد, a phrase. And I'd like to also ask you, Ahmed, why do you think it's a phrase still? Because there's many words. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words in there, and you're quite confident that it's a phrase. So I'd like to know your reasoning behind that.
Because there is no word in it. There's no action. It's all.
But it's ismiya, so ismiya can be a sentence, right?
It can.
So why would that be the case then for this? Because it's, like you said, qabla is an ism, and so you would say it's an ismiya. Oh no, you said it's a phrase. So, but we have jumla ismiya. So why is it not a jumla ismiya?
Because I thought it is just giving us it's just like in English, it's a long time ago. That's basically it. Very long time ago. So it does not complete, like what
Very
long
true.
time ago what?
Very true. And I would say that's a good reason. That is right. So that's one of the reasons why the meaning itself doesn't allow it to be a jumla, because of the context of the meaning. So yes, absolutely correct. Can you perhaps, now this one might stretch a few minds, can you grammatically tell me why? So meaning why you tell me it's a phrase, is a غير مفيد, but can you give me a grammatical reason why it might be a phrase rather than a jumla?
It's just a guesswork. It's three of its words. They have kasr. Ayamin, kasiratin, and then kasiratin.
Very good. So what would we then say this is part of? Because remember, when we said phrase, we said we only learned two phrases, so it's got to be one of the two. I'm not going to give you a different phrase. So what are we dealing with here? From where? Yeah? Correct. So it's a mawsuf sifa. So that bit is, but remember there's a qabla before it. So your rationale is absolutely right. So ayamin kathiratin is actually a mawsuf sifa phrase. But what about the qabla that comes before?
It's depicting time.
Grammatically. Yes, it's depicting time. Carry on. I like that. You're getting warmer to what I'm thinking here. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. Time.
It's not a complete one. It's saying that long time ago. So long time ago what? So
That's the meaning wise, agreed. But grammatically why? It's a ghayru mufid. Let me help you a little bit. Qabla, we agreed, is an ism. Right? Okay? That's from what Amr said, and I'll say yes. So, if qabla is an ism, we understood that isms go through grammatical changes, right? They can either be rafa, they can either be nasab, or they can be jar. So, in this case, what is qabla? Nasab. Right. Now, this is the point we need to go to. Remember, we said three grammatical, and there are, so in our isms, for jar, okay, there are only two types, right, for isms. After a preposition, okay, or in a mudaf ilay situation. They're the only two types. So jar is very easy. Rafa, we said there were how many? 8 ways. And in nasab, we said there were 12. Can anyone remember which one this might fit in? So it's in nasab, so it's got to be those 12. We covered 5 examples. We covered 5 to 6 examples, at least, of where the ism would be in the nasab phase. So jar, we knew after preposition, so majrur, and then after an mudaf ilay. And rafa, we said it would be mubtada. That was one way. It could be the fa'il of a verb. What were the nasab ones? And what you said before in the meaning helps to give it away as well. So grammatically, it's in nasab, and meaning also helps us to home in. So my question is what type of ism are we dealing with here? Remember, there are pronouns, there are personal, there are nouns, there are adjectives, there are adverbs. So what are we dealing with here?
Isn't that an adjective?
So with adjectives,
Because it's defining the ayam.
but what would, okay, so let's now just do a little bit of discussion before we, so we said, okay, in the mawsuf sifa, I'm sorry, let me get that right. Okay, in the mawsuf sifa, remember the rule for that was that the adjective comes before or after the noun, comes after. Where's qabla coming? So it cannot be a adjective, can it? It has to come after the ism. So you can rule that out. Qabla should, if you call it an adjective, it's in the sifa. So where's the mawsuf? The ism has to be before it. So it cannot be.
Then it comes to, could it be pronoun then before? But no. Before. No.
Brother said exactly what it was. What does it mean? You said it's a representation of time. Didn't we say for adverbs? We did the 3 example. Where and when, which is maf'ul fihi, not maf'ul bihi, maf'ul fi. Then we said how, that is maf'ul lahu. And then we said why, which was
One was a generic one.
yeah, and then the generic maf'ul mutlaq. Yeah. So this is the where and when. This is a maf'ul fi. So this is actually, so Amma, you're right that this is a phrase. It's an adverbial phrase. So qabla is an ism. More specifically, it is an adverb of time, where and when. It's before something happened. All right? And what you are actually seeing in this instance, so the adverbial phrase here is actually, can anyone tell me what the adverbial phrase is? It's things we've covered. So if you look back at this phrase now, so you've got the qabla. So how is it connecting to the rest of the words then? So it's a phrase we said, right? So there's going to be a connection. So how is it connecting to the other? Qabla, you know, is an ism. And what's it connecting to?
It's again connecting to ism.
Yes.
Ayam is also ism.
So what phrase are we talking here then? Now with mawsuf and sifa, what were the rules? That it must match with match with the gender, yeah, must match with plurality, must match with its case ending, and must match with its definite or indefinite article. So tell me here, is this matching? Qabla and ayam? It's not. What other relationship do we know? So mudaf mudaf ilayh. So does this match mudaf mudaf ilayh relationship? Tell me. And if so, why?
I thought no, because there is the mean in it.
The what?
The mean. Because we have
Where's the tanween?
Ayam in.
But what do we say mudaf mudaf ilayh? It's the mudaf that mustn't have tanween. Or the first bit of the mudaf mudaf ilayh, remember? Yeah. So the mudaf ilayh, the rule is the mudaf, the first part of it mustn't have tanween, mustn't have definite. Only the first part. So does that match? Then in that case?
Yes.
And then the second part, the only rule for the second, which is the mudaf ilayh, is that it must be in jar. That's the only rule. And is it in jar? So you're actually dealing with a mudaf ilayh relationship for an adverb of time. So what I want you to appreciate is that it's not just possessive phases like Zayd's book. You know, it's not about possession, the book of Zayd. It can be used in an adverbial phrase, a mudaf ilayh. So it's broader than just possession, right? So adverbs connecting with other nouns are in a mudaf ilayh relationship. Okay? So the way that we would then, so if I was to just follow Amr's rationale, he said the first bit is a phrase. So then I would then circle this whole thing as a phrase. Okay? And then within that, is you have a mudaf ilayh relationship. So that will be the qabla, would be the mudaf. And then the whole of this would be mudaf ilayh relationship. Okay? And then, as you rightly said, is that for the ayamin, there's a mawsuf sifa relationship going on. So there you have the mawsuf, and all of this becomes the sifa. Okay? So top, the red circle is a adverbial phrase. Within that you have a mudaf ilay relationship in the green, and within the purple you've got a mawsuf sifa relationship going on. Okay, so red is the adverbial phrase, because as Amra and you said, that the meaning itself is not complete, and so the red is a adverbial phrase. More specifically, it's a maf'ul fi. No, maf'ul fi. Okay, maf'ul fi.
Oh yeah, we are in.
Yeah, because so where and when. So it's an adverb of time, maf'ul fi. Okay, and within that maf'ul fi, there is a, which is coloured in green, is a mudaf qabla and a mudaf ilay, which is ayamin kathiratin jiddan. That's the mudaf ilay. Okay.
Mudaf alay was supposed to be jiddan is not.
Okay. So now I'll introduce you to something, the nuance of application. The mudaf ilay, okay, like the jumla, can be a multiple number of words. This is the point here. It doesn't. The mudaf ilay doesn't have to be just one word. It can be consisting of a number of words.
My question was jaddan is a nasab stack.
Yes, it is.
But it was supposed to be
Okay.
stack.
All right. So the thing that you now need to realize is that there is a, so the mudaf ilay kathiratin jiddan as opposed to jiddin is actually in the state of jar. The whole sentence, the whole those three words, that three words is in a state of jar. However, when it comes to the actual voweling, they have to worry about each other within the context of the words. So, which is why we're breaking it down. So, a singular word, you're right. But when it's the whole complex is in the state of jar. And the whole complex in the state of jar is fine, but the voweling doesn't necessarily reflect it when you're dealing with multiple words. So, for example, if it was just without kathiratin, it was just qabla ayamin kathiratin, then singular words, yeah? But this is all in the context of that. So the whole thing is actually in jar, not the words. The words have to worry about themselves within the context of the words that are within that particular part. It will come more apparent, but the key thing that I want you to understand from this is that when you're dealing with multiple words can fit into one component. They could fit into the mudaf, they can fit in the mudaf ilay. Okay, so the mudaf ilay is the whole thing. Right, so there's three words, right? But each word within it worries about itself in that box. Hold on to it. More examples like this will follow and it will become a little bit clearer. But the key thing that you need to take away is that jumlas and phrases can have multiple words in one place. So a mawsul can be multiple, a sifa can be multiple, mudaf can be multiple, and a mudaf ilay can be multiple. All right. So anyway, let's just carry on. Don't think too deeply it because you're going to get stuck. It will all, as the time goes by, it will settle in. Okay. Yes.
The whole thing is maf'ul fi. And then
Yes.
the green part is
Yes.
mudaf and mudaf alayh.
Correct.
And what is the third part is again?
So the third part, the ayamin kathiratin jiddan, is a mawsuf, the ayamin, and the sifa is kathiratin jiddan. Okay. Now the point about jiddan we're going to leave for the time being because that's actually a maf'ul mutlaq. Right? That's an example of a maf'ul mutlaq, generic adverb, very, and all, as we said, adverbs, right, are in the state of nasab. All right. So this is a separate grammatical, which is why I don't want you to pause too much on it. Look at the kathiratin, all are in that state of jar, rafa. Sorry, in the state of rafa. Okay, which will be, and the reason that they're in the state of rafa is because it's in the sifa. It's in the sifa of mawsuf ayam. Okay, because ayam is in the state of jar, so the sifa has to be also, right? But jiddan, in some ways, what you can do with jiddan, you can actually separate that out as well, all right? Because it's an adverb of time. So you can, what I could say, I'm to satisfy you, we could box that one out, the jiddan bit, okay? So, and it's rightly so that it makes more sense. So the jiddan is a maf'ul mutlaq, and we're not going to go into the grammatic answers of how that works within the sentence at the end. All right, that's another grammatical lesson. All right. So if we move on, we have kana fi qaryatin rajulun mashhurun jiddan. So what are we dealing with here? So meaning there was in a town a very famous man. That's its basic meaning. So what are we dealing with here?
So again, there is no fail in it.
There is no fi'l.
Because this kana is the word kana, meaning was.
But remember we did kana, what did we describe it as?
Changes into the past.
And
So it's just a harf.
it's a harf, but remember what we said, it can also, it's a fi'l naqis, we said, that it can be in front of like inna and kana, so they come in front of what?
They can come in front of fail. Change it the tense, is that what we
They don't come in front of fi'l, they come in front of jumla ismiya, they come in front of nominative sentences. So if we take the kana out, it would be basically a famous man is, a very famous man is in a town, right? Now if we take the kana out, is that a jumla or is that a ghayru mufid? A famous man is in a town. So it's a jumla what? A jumla,
complete?
yeah, jumla what type of jumla?
Ismiya.
Ismiya, correct. So it's a jumla ismiya. So with the kana in front, what does that make that into? It's a harf, you're absolutely right.
But it's
Change the tense. So it made it
Yes, into the past, correct.
Madi in past.
That's for verbs. This is past tense for nominative ismiya sentences. So
So change the time. All it did is the changing of the time from present to past.
remember we covered this and we said, look, we said that we've covered two harfs that come in front of a sentence, the kana and the inna. And we said that is a jumla, but we just change it from, instead of mubtada and khabar, we say the ism of kana and the khabar of kana. Right? These are ismiya. This is an ismiya sentence, but it's an ismiya of the past. Okay? And same for inna. So if we replace kana with inna, it will be indeed in a town was a very famous man. Right? So then it will be ism of inna and the khabar of inna. And we said that with kana and inna, that these are harfs, but we know that harfs are of two types. They are the amil and ghayr amil, right? And so which one is this? It's an amil, right? And the reason it's an amil is because it converts what into what? You've got mubtada and khabar, so what does it do? The kana.
Changes khabar
Yep.
into nasab.
Into nasab. That's right. So it's an amil harf and it changes it into nasab. And so this type of kana is called a fi'l naqis, meaning it is like a verb. Reason is that a verb changes the maf'ul bihi into nasab, right? Same kana is doing, isn't it? It's changing the khabar into nasab, as the verb would change the maf'ul bihi, the object, into nasab, right? So fa'il is the doer, is in rafa, right? And then the object is in nasab, right? Same kana is doing, but it's doing it to a ismiya sentence. That's why it's called fi'l naqis. Fi'l naqis, yeah? So, and it means was, it makes your nominative sentence past, all right?
And would it, because we are calling it fi'l naqis, would
Yeah.
it change the whole sentence into ism jumla fi'liya?
No.
No. Though it is called fi'l naqis.
That's why it's resembling a verb sentence, but it's not. That's what, otherwise it would be a fi'l. So it's a fi'l naqis, resembling, right? So the way you would divide this, okay, so you know that, so kana in that sense would be your harf, okay? So that will be your fi'l naqis, and your fi'l naqis needs an ism of kana and a khabar of kana, like you have mubtada and khabar, okay? So tell me in these sentences which would be the ism of kana, like the mubtada, and which would be the khabar of kana. Have a look and tell.
Rajul is the ism,
Yes?
and
Jiddan.
no, mashhur is the famous. No, it's an adverb. Mashhur is
Oh,
an mashhur jiddan is like a adjective, not adverb.
Sifa. So it's a mawsul sifa, isn't it? Yeah? So remember what we said, when you come with multiple words, you've got to work out where the phrase relationship ends before you split it into a mubtada, khabar, or an ism of kana and a khabar of kana. This is the complexity we're starting to see here, is that it's not one word. There are multiple words here. So is rajulun related to, or should I put it, is mashhurun, the next word after, related to rajulun? Is there a phrase relationship going on there? Yes, there is, from mawsul sifa. Okay, so in that sense, the two are together. They have to, because the phrase related. So that in itself is what we would call the ism of kana, right? Because it's in rafa, and the ism of kana is always in the state of rafa. So it will have a dhamma on it, right? So this we can block out. Okay. So then my next question is then, where's the khabar of kana? So what about fi qaryatin?
Because
That's
fi,
is something, no, Kariyatan is ism. This is a Kariyat.
Qaryatin is an ism. It's a village. It means village. So, and that's, remember, it's a noun. Either it's a name or a place or a thing. So it's a place. So it's a noun. So you're right. It's an ism.
so is it Karyatin is in jar state because of jar majrur? Fi,
Correct.
Is that the
Correct. So fi is, remember, it's a harf and it's an amil harf, and it is making qaryatin, which is in the state of jar. So
basically khabar is fi Karyatin.
correct. This is, now there's two important points I want to mention to you. So we understood that, you know, things, multiple words can be in one state as a complex of words, but individuals within that complex can have different relationships depending on what's going before it. The second thing I want to tell you is that the ism of kana or the mubtada doesn't necessarily have to be physically first in the sentence, in the jumla. The tall man is in the garden. The tall man is obviously the mubtada, but in Arabic, in the garden there was a tall man. So the tall man still grammatically, even though it's coming later, is still the mubtada. Because we understood in the Arabic language, the sequencing can be flexible. Remember we said, daraba Zaydun amran? It could be amran Daraba Zaydun, and although it's the same with Jumla Ismiya, you can mix it around. This is now the element of Balaga. Why would we have, we could have had Rajul Mashhurun fi Qaryatin, right? Right? But you can see here, we can have it the other way around, right? This is a way of expression. But from the scientific grammatical point of view, it's all within the grammatical science. It's allowable because the grammar is dictated by the grammatical states and the voweling. So if it's rajulin mashhurin or some other way, or rajulan mashhurin, then it cannot be mubtada or ism of kana. It cannot be, because the voweling would not allow it. Yeah? The fact that rajul mashhurun is in dammatain, suggests that it's in a state of rafa, and then an ism of kana is always in the state of rafa, but the khabar of kana is in the state of nasab. The second point that you want to see is, well, hang on a minute, qaryatin is not in a state of nasab, right? So what's going on there? And as Amr was saying, well, then that's where the jiddan probably comes in, because that's in a state of nasab, and that would make sense to be in the khabar of kana. Okay. However, this is where the meaning comes involved, because we know jiddan, by its meaning very, is an adverb. It cannot be part of the mubtada and khabar. It cannot be the beginning of it. It's an adverb. So it has to be in a state of nasab because it's an adverb. And it's, specifically, it's a maf'ul mutlaq, a generic adverb. Yeah, just very. So it's actually, it's got its own separate box. It's an adverb, right? Phrase on its own, right? So here, Amr, this will help you, okay? Because I didn't quite explain the kathiratin jiddan, but here you see fi qaryatin. That fi qaryatin, both those words, that complex of words is in the state of nasab. That complex of words is in the state of, and remember in the very first 1 or 2 lessons we said that the words are 90% reflected, yeah, by their state. So in general, 90% of nasab will be with a fatha. 90% of words in jar will be reflected with a kasra, and so forth, yeah? In this case, you can see an example where it's not necessarily expressed in that way, right? Now, the reason for this is not the word itself, because qarya could be in qaryatan. It's an ism, it could be qaryatun, qaryatan, qaryatin. But what it has to do, that in this complex, it has to worry about itself. And the fact that it follows a jar, it has to worry about that. So internally, what we would then do is do this. For the fi qaryatin, we would say that this is a jar majrur phrase. And so they too, that's the reason why the majrur is in genitive. So is in jar. Okay. So the red bit, the red box bit for fi qaryatin is in nasab, no doubt about it, because the khabar of kana is in nasab. Then we box internally because there are 2 words. The fi is a jar, and the qaryatin is the majrur, and the jar majrur has to be in a harf and a ism which is in the state of jar, and that's why we box it further to explain that, because you're dealing with a complex number of words. So the complex number of words together are in that state, but then each word in itself has to worry about what's in that complex. You have to worry about it internally. And say rajul mashhurun would be what? How would we break that one down in that box? We know the rajul mashhurun is 2 words in the state of rafa as a ism of kana. How would we break these 2 ones into? Mawsuf first. Mawsuf is the one that is being described, and sifa is the adjective. Absolutely right. So there we would then box that as the rajul as the mawsuf, and the mashhurun as the sifa. And so the idea is that we've boxed every single word in its singularity. So that's how you grammatically analyze it to 100%, by putting every single word in its each box. So you start big, and then you break it down. Okay? So Now, could you perhaps see why I might have read this as 2 lines? Can you see that? Because what you're actually dealing with is a ism and khabar of kana with an adverbial phrase tagged onto it. The adverbial phrase is qabla ayamin kathiratin kathiratin jiddan. Alright? And the kana fi qaryatin rajulun mashhurum jiddan is actually the ism of kana and the khabar of kana. Alright? So even though each both have full stops, and you can quite do that in English, alright, but you can actually see the sentence from the actual jumla is bigger than that, you know, because it's got an adverbial phrase attached to it. Okay? Alright? Moving on. Now you see the wa, okay? The wa has actually, in classical Arabic, first of all, I'll tell you, in present Arabic it means and it also means that in classical. But in deep classical Arabic, it has more meanings than just and, alright? And in classical Arabic, this wa, in this context, would mean a beginning of a new sentence. Right? Because in Arabic, there are no full stops, there are no commas, there are no semicolons. They put that in just to help the reader. But you will be, if you, to the extent, and when you look at classical Arabic, they'll never have the original text will never have a single dot. You will know it from the grammatical analysis where the full stop is. By the way that when the phrase relation, whether you're doing ism of kan or a khabar of kan, you'll know automatically. It could be literally just lines and lines and lines without no full stop, and you will still be able to divide it out because of your grammar. These things are there to help us.
So
They're added on.
Some of the phrases will be where the starting vowel it means and some of them
Yes.
have just a starting.
Yes. Yes. And we're going to go through that later on because I don't want to bombard you. But in this context, I want you to appreciate that wa has many different meanings. And in this context, it's actually the beginning of a sentence. So if you really want to be accurate, you will say, like, so if we carry, so many days ago, before many days, there was in a town a very famous man. And then you would go on, you wouldn't necessarily have to say an, and so you say this is the name of this man was Azar. Azar. The name, you don't have to say and the name of this man was. You can just say the name of this man was Azar. Right? And you'll find that in the translation that Ali gave us, it had it as and, yeah. Actually, in classical, it would not be appropriate to put a. You could put an and. I'm not saying you could, but it could also be quite accurate, just the beginning of the sentence. All right, but we'll go into that more later.
But doesn't it also have you know, if we take it as a new sentence,
Yep.
then the grammatical state of that particular sentence completely
No, it doesn't.
change.
Because the word becomes, in a sense, your full stop.
No, but what I'm saying is that, you know, sometimes if we take it and,
Yep.
like, I give you, like, in English, I give you
Yep.
example, he was going,
Yep.
and he was,
Yes.
you know,
Correct.
getting hit, something like that.
Correct.
If I say he was going, full stop, I can change the next sentence into present, future, or
Yes,
past.
you can. Yes.
So if was is taken as and,
Yes.
then it has to continue with the
Correct.
same
Correct.
grammatical-
Correct. Absolutely right. Yes.
But if I take it as that it is a start of a new sentence,
Mm.
then the grammar, yes, kana still makes it past,
Yeah.
but
I'll help you answer it, but I don't want people to get bogged down. But I'll answer it for you because it will satisfy a thing. All for that to happen, for it to be, what you would simply do is do this. Then you're right. Because then you would say there was in a town a very famous man, and his name was Azar, because you've taken out the kana, and you just the wa would then be connected to the kana. So it would be a muta'af ilayh. It's a different. I don't want to go into it because we're going later, But that's how you would then be able to differentiate between a full stop and a continuation of the and in that vein of that tense by taking that out. All right, and what you would find is that the next bit should match it grammatically in terms of what it constitutes, what's before it. So it'd have to be an ism of kana and a khabar of kana that follows it. Then it would be in the same way. If it doesn't match it in that sense, you're dealing with something. It could be then translated as or however. So we're getting into a bit more intricacies. But just to satisfy that, that's what we would be doing. So for the time being, we can appreciate that this can mean a full stop. Okay. So here we got kana. So let's break this one down. Now that we did the hard one, this one's a slightly more simpler. Can anyone break this one down for me, please? What are we dealing with first? So kana ismu hadha rajul azar. There was it's a jumla ismi, but more specifically it is remember we just did it in the previous line? We said that this is not, it's more specific than a jumla ismiya. It's a ism of, yes, it's different. This is jumla ismiya is different from ism of kana, right? It's got the harf that's modifying it, so it has different terminology.
So the whole ismu hadha rajuli azara is all ism of kana?
No. But
that's what, okay.
No. So what we said is that this is a kana sentence, right? So if it's a kana sentence, you have to divide it into an ism of kana and a khabar of kana, right? So yes, you could say it's a past tense jumla ismiya, but more specifically, if we want to use the Arabic, we're talking about an ism and ism of kana and khabar of kana jumla, all right? So in that sense, how will we box this one up? So the kana is the harf, correct? And that's at the beginning, so that's the fi'l naqis. And then you have the ism, where would be the ism of kana?
Azar. Rajul
But is azar, ism of kana is in the state of?
It's rafa.
And what is azar in this in?
Rajuli is jar.
But we have to find the beginning. Remember, you start from the right and pick your words out and try and break it down. So
it has to be ism.
So great. So ismu is the ism of kana. Now, when we start with ismu, then we have to see where the phrase relationship ends. In this context, just to make it easy, because we haven't quite covered this, the hadha bit, the actual ism of kana is all of this. Okay? Ismu hadha rajulin. Okay? And azar, which is in the state of nasab, azara, must be the khabar of kana. Right? Okay? So now you know where to put the was, yeah? So the name of this man was Azar. And remember what we said, that the challenge for us in the mubtada khabar is to where do you put the is or the was. So you have to find out where the phrase relationship ends. So why I've got three words here is because actually ism is a mudaf and hadha rajul is a mudaf ilay relationship going on there. Alright? And so I won't go into hadha rajul yet in terms of what phrase relation it, but that's hadha is actually, it means this. Can anyone work out by its meaning what it would be? Would it be a ism? Would it be a harf? Would it be a fi'l? This. Ism. And why?
Because you are indicating.
What type of ism would it be?
Ism.
Yes. More specifically, a demonstrative pronoun. So why? This man. It's abbreviating to you. This person. So it's abbreviating the noun. This tree, this house. Yeah. So the noun is the house, the person. Yeah. Okay. So it's a demonstrator. So sort of he or his as the other ones, or who. Now this is this, and these is the plural. So this is absolutely right. This is an ism. More specifically, it's a demonstrative pronoun. Okay. And so that demonstrative pronoun actually has a phrase relation with rajul. But I don't want to go into that too much today. But all I want you to see is that ismu has a rajuli, and the rajuli is in a state of rafa, which is what we would expect in a mudaf ilay relationship, right? So there's a mudaf ilay relationship within this ism of kana. So we appreciate that the ism of kana does not have to be one word, okay? It can be multiple words, and we work out what the multiple words, where the phrase relationship ends. So when you go to rajuli azara, can there be a phrase relation between rajuli azara? Do we know of any? They're both isms, and the only both isms we know is a mudaf ilay, right? So an al-rajul, if it's the mudaf, has to be without al and without tanween. So it cannot be a mudaf ilay relationship. And the other phrase relation we know is the jar majrur, right? The preposition, and that's not a preposition. It's actually an ism. So it cannot be that. So there's no way rajul can be connected with azar. Impossible. Mustahil, as they say in Arabic. Cannot happen. And that's how you're going to work out where the things are separated out, where the was comes. It cannot be between those two. And you would also know the rule, inshallah, very shortly in the future, about the hada and how it connects to the ism after it. So how that connects together. Okay? So great. Let's go on to the next one. So we've got wakana adharu yabiu al-asnama. And I'll just give you the meaning and then we'll just work out. So azar would sell idols. So adhar would sell idols. So what are we dealing with here?
Well, if we go with the rule, it is still a kana.
Correct.
And it's again the new word is starting. New phrase is start a new phrase. Wakana. Again, wow.
So the kana is the harf. The fi'l naqis, very good. So we know, so the thing I want you to notice is that yabiu is actually a fi'l, right? Because remember we said with fi'l, it's actually specifically, it's a mudari verb. Because remember mudari has a ya, the ta, and there's a naf, and a alif, yeah? So this would give you the idea, and the fact that it's got a dhamma, a single dhamma at the end of it will give you an idea that this is a mudari verb. So this is a verb in the mix of what? As an ism. So why is it not an ismul fi'liya then? My question is.
Because it starts with.
Very good. What determines the sentence grammar is what the word is starting with. And because there's a kana, it's got to be a fi'l naqis jumla that we're dealing with. So if there's a fi'l naqis jumla, then we have to divide it into ism of kana and. So my next question is, where's the ism of kana and where's the khabar of kana? No, remember it's wakana. Yes, correct. Sorry, beg your pardon. I was looking at the previous. So azaru would, and you have to give me a reason. Why would you say that it is the case? Give me a reason.
Because it's about azar, that he is the one who's doing something.
So meaning-wise, yes, but grammatically, why it is?
Azaru is a dhamma.
So it is in the state of rafa, and ism of kana is always in the state of rafa. So my next question is that you've got multiple words after it, so we have to see whether there's no word connected to it. So my next question is yabi'u, which comes after azaru. Okay, is that part of the ism of kana, or is it separate from the ism of kana? Is that where we need to divide it, or do we need to join that with azar?
It can't be connected with kana because yabi can't be connected with kana.
Because?
It's connected with the ism.
Because it's fail.
Fi'l means?
It's an action.
Yes.
It's not ism.
And it's connected with other because it's got it's also in the state of Rafa. Yabiu.
And kana is past, yabiu is present.
No. It's more simpler than what you're saying, more simpler than that. Think of the rule. Think of the rules that we talked about.
They match.
That, yes, that, but what is the rule for jumla fi'liya?
File.
Yes,
And fail.
yes.
And maf'ul.
What about them?
They have to have a fail and a file.
How? Alright, can the fa'il come before the fi'l, or does the fa'il come always after the fi'l?
It comes after.
Why? Because of what Abdul Rahim said. What did he say in the answer to the previous question about why is this a fi'l naqis sentence? Why? Because
It starts with file.
and so for yabil,
Yeah.
why is that not connected to azar? Why can't that be part of the ism of kana? Why? Because we know it can be multiple words. Why is it not the case? You're right, it's not, but I want to know why. Meaning tells us, I accept that, but we're looking at the grammar now, reason why it cannot be connected together. Simple, it's not, I'm not asking anything deep here.
But I thought, ism and fail don't connect to each other.
Okay, let me put it this way. Let me give you an example. This will help enlighten. And we will use our always simple example. Daraba Zaydun Amaran. This will make it all clear. So let's put that down, right? So here, because it really is simple, this what I'm asking you, but it's just getting it in your head. So Daraba Zaydun Amaran, right? Okay? We understand that's a jumla fi'liya, right? Now what I'm going to do, and we know we can mix it around. Now, if I do this, right? What am I dealing here with the second one? What type of sentence is this?
Ism.
Yes. Why?
It starts with ism.
Yes, that's all I'm asking. Does that all make sense? This is exactly the same as this in terms of words, right? But Zaydun, so we're dealing with a mubtada and a khabar. So this khabar is a sentence in itself. And this is actually a jumla fi'liya, right? Right? And remember what we said with this one, you have to always have a fa'il follow the fi'l. So we have to take out, remember, the huwa, right? Which becomes the fa'il, right? So you have the fi'l, the fa'il, and the maf'ul bihi. That's all in khabar, right? So this Zaydun, even though it's in here, but because it starts with an ism, right? So this is all I'm saying with regard to what we have in the text, yeah, is that.
So you mean because Yabiul Asnam is a khabar?
So asnamun so yeah. So basically, so azar, yeah, which is like it's alder. So azar is the same as zaydun, right? Okay. So if azar came after yabil, then it would be within that. It will be within. It would be a separating. It will be within that. Yeah, and it will have exactly the same meaning. Yeah, like we saw in the Zaydun. So just because I put Zaydun out of it, grammatically it changed it to Jumla Ismiya, but it has exactly the same meaning as the Jumla Fi'liya, right? It's just a matter of the sequence. So in this instance, this makes life easy because all you have to know is that if there's a verb that comes after any ism, it can't be part of it. Mustahil. It has to always, the subject has to come following the verb, the fi'l, right? So there's no way ismu So azar, yabi'u can be ever together. Impossible. They have to be separated out. So that's why the azar just becomes the ism of kana, and yabi'ul asnama becomes the khabar of kana. And remember what we said, we have to break it out into singular words, and then the only two we've got is yabi'ul asnam. That khabar of kana is broken down. So here we would have to take out the huwa, right? Because there has to be a fa'il, yeah? And yabi'u is the fi'l, right? Then you've got the fa'il, which is the huwa, and then you've got the maf'ul bihi, asnama, which is obviously in the state of nasab. So you could have been fooled by saying, because asnama is the is in nasab, it must be the khabar of kana. But actually, it's coincidental that it's in it, because the reason asnama is actually in the state of nasab is not because of the khabar of kana, it's because of the yabi'u. Yabi'u asnama, both themselves are in a state of khabar. But like each word has to worry about itself. So it's important. So if we said yabi'u sala min al asnam, so we put a min in there, yeah, a seller of, or something like that, we put a preposition in there, it will be yabi'u min al asnami, not asnama, because then it becomes a jar majur relationship. So then you'd be full, then you can think, it's in jar, so how can this be the khabar of kana? No, because it has to worry about itself. The whole sentence, in this yabi'u asnam, is in the state of nasab, because it is the khabar of kana. And asnama is in the state of nasab because it is a maf'ul bihi. Not because it's the khabar of kana, because it's maf'ul bihi. That's why we box it out individually to work out why what is. Yeah? If we can get to grips with this working analysis, it's going to make life really easy when you get to complex. And I think you can start to appreciate how important this is to break it down like that. Let's do one more, and then I'll just wrap it up. I just want to finish this page. Have we got a little bit of stamina for one more? Okay. Let's do, So the next one is وَكَانَ فِي هَذِهِ الْقَرْيَةِ بَيْتٌ كَبِيرٌ جِدًّا. So meaning there was in a town a very big house. Okay? So based on the principles that we've done in the previous, can somebody break this down for me? Yeah. But you know what, Abdul Rahim? This makes it easy. It's going to be second. Look, already Abdul Rahim has started automatic pilot. He's gone from driving lesson, he's already gone into first gear already. He knows what handbrake off in first gear. He's done it already. This is what I mean. This is the start of it. So you know, Abdul Rahim, that you're dealing with what? An ism of kana and you already set the scene. So this is making life easy. All right? So let's do that. So we've got the fi'l naqis. Can you do the rest for me, Abdul Rahim? And so what's the rule? A khabar of kana has to be in a state of nasab. Is this three words? Could we say it in a state of nasab?
Baytun kabirun jiddan do the same thing as in mashhurun jiddan. So jiddan we can separate it out.
Correct. So let's separate that out. Okay. Yeah.
And then karyati baytun kabirun. Baytun kabirun is actually the news.
Okay. So it's what?
Khabar.
But what did we say? The khabar of kana has to be in the state of? Is baytun kabirun in the state of nasab?
is Rafa.
No, state of nasab is with fatha, remember? 90% of the cases. So you're always going to go with the vowels because you've got 90% chance you're right. So if it's with dhamma, which is 90% is a reflection of the state of
Rafa.
rafa. So can this be the khabar of kana then? Baytun kabirun. Can this then be the khabar of kana in that case?
Less likely.
10% likelihood, 90% unlikely, right? So what would it be then?
Ism.
It would be the ism. And remember, the point is that when we said the ism of kana, in this I will make it even, the ism of kana delayed. The ism of kana delayed. It hasn't come first. Because you're quite right, akhi, that you think ism of kana needs to be the first bit, like mubtada, and then the khabar. But remember, we say we can mix it around because it depends on the grammatical state. That gives us that flexibility, which is why we can say amran zaydun daraba. Same principle here. So this is an ism of kana delayed. It's not coming first, as we traditionally would expect it. And when we say that's the point of balaga, how it's expressed. But the science is correct. And why is it baytun kabirun? Why is it? Huh? Yeah. So there's a phrase relationship going on with baytun and kabirun. They're both masculine. They are both in the state of tanween. They're both in the state of rafo. And they're the same singularity. All right? So therefore they match in all those four things. So there's a phrase relation of mawsul sifa, so they are together. That's why both of those are together. So that box, the purple box, is the ism of kana delayed. And if we broke that down within it, it's a mawsul sifa within that. So where's the khabar of kana?
Has to be fi hadhihi qaryah.
Yes, fi hadhihi al-qaryati. So all of those words together are in the state of nasab. But we said that we have to worry about each word by itself. So let's break this down then. So how would we start breaking this one down?
Majroor between fi hadhihi.
That's the same thing with the second.
So what bit is what then? So fi
Is
is the jar. And where's the majroor? It's going to be hadhihi al-qaryati. We haven't gone through the graph, but just for the sake of this, that's the majroor. The hadhihi al-qaryati is the actual majroor. And hadhihi al-qaryati have a phrase relationship together as well. Okay? Good.
So hadhihi al-qarya is the khabar?
Fi hadhihi.
Hadhihi al-qarya.
Because it has to split into two parts, 3 parts. Kana, the fil naqis, ism of kana, and khabar of kana. And we've got the adverb, but that adverb, to be honest with you, the jiddan, I'm not going to go into it too much, but really that jiddan can be incorporated within the khabar of kana. It could be baytun kabirun jiddan, because we're talking about a very big house. The meaning itself, jiddan, suggests that we're talking about the very big house. And remember what we said with adjectives. It modifies verbs, but it can also modify adjectives. So it's actually modifying the kabirun by saying it's a very big. Yeah? Okay. But we know adjectives are not mawsul sifa. It's actually in the state of nasab. Okay?
And this baytun kabirun we said is a delayed
Ism of kana, because it's a kana fil naqis jumla that we're dealing with, and it's delayed because it's not coming first, as we expect. We expect isms to come first and khabars to come next, second. So because it's coming later and not first, it's an ism of kana delayed. It's not what we traditionally... It's coming after khabar. Whereas traditionally we expect ism first and then khabar. In this way it's swapped around. Like in the very first sentence we did, kana fi qaryatin rajulun mashhurun jiddan. So here the rajulun mashhurun is again an ism of kana delayed.
It could have been wakana kabirun.
Yeah, it could have been.
Baytun kabirun jiddan fi hadhihi al-qarya.
Yes, you can. And so the meaning in both actions are exactly 100% the same. However, the connotations or the balaga is different. So, and this is where you start to begin to appreciate the translations in the Quran. that you will get some very straightforward translations of different ayats, yeah. But if you look at the wording sequence in those different ayats, they're actually different, although the meaning is exactly the same, like here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's where we come into blood. Why did Allah do that? You know, and that's when you get into deep reflection. Here, you can just see it in a very simplistic sense, that this is Ism of Kana delayed, but it could have been Ism of Kana if it came first. It would have exactly the same meaning. But by delaying it, it suggests something. You could always say that that the fi hadhihi al-kalimati is being stressed, but you're putting it first. You know, it's like with the hitting of Amr. If you said Amran, you know, you think, oh, what about Amr? Zaydun daraba. Or if you said daraba Zaydun, so Zayd did something, Amran. So he hit Amr, right? So it has a different connotation. Simple translation, same, but there's an emphasis change by just swapping around the sea. And that's the beauty of the Arabic language. You can't do that in English. You can do it in Urdu, but remember we said in Urdu you need more words to be able to do that flexibility, whereas in Arabic you've got the same concise number of words, but you can you just make it very flexible. I'm just going to very quickly go through this one because I know we've really. I just want to finish this last bit. So it says, "Wakana fi hadhihi bayti asnamu." So here again we're doing with a fi'l naqis. So I will just do it for you, just to speed up the time. So here, yeah. So here you get the kana, and then you've got the ism of kana delayed, which is here asnamun, right? And then you've got here the khabar of kana, which again is a complex, yeah. So you've got the jar and majrur relationship going on there, all right? And then you've got asnamun kathiratun. Here you've got a mawsuf and sifa and an adverb there. And that adverb could be modifying the adjective, kathiratin, okay? Then coming on to the last one, you've got وَكَانَ النَّاسُ يَسْجُدُونَ لِهَذِهِ الْأَصْنَامِ. Here, again, you've got verbs here. يَسْجُدُونَ. And remember, we did يَفْعَلُونَ, remember? So you've got that similar pattern. You've got a verb in there, but you know that النَّاس is coming first. So it means the people would prostrate to these idols, okay? But because of the kana coming first, this has to be a fi'l naqis, an ism of kana. So this would be the ism of kana, and all of this, yasjuduna lihadhihi al-asnam, is the khabar of kana. And then you'd go in and you would start subdividing this complex, this khabar of kana. So you have a yasjuduna, right? So here you're doing a jumla fi'liya. So here you say the yasjudu is the fi'l. The wa is the fa'il, which means they, and then لِهَذِهِ الْأَسْنَامَ is the jar majrur relation in a maf'ul bihi. So لِهَذِهِ الْأَسْنَامَ is the maf'ul bihi, okay? But within it, you've got a jar and majrur relationship going. Li is the jar, and hadhil asnam is the majrur that's going in it, and that would explain why asnam is not in the state, is not reflected by a fatha, because it should be in because of yasjuduna. Yeah, it's actually in the state of kasra or rafa because of what's happening before the li. Yeah, is making it into jar majrur relationship. But li hadhil asnam is in the state of nasab. Yeah. And then just the last two sentences. And what I need you to do, I'm going through these two quickly, but it's things that we've covered, and then you can just repeat. What I would suggest you do is that when you go home, repeat this yourself. Break it down yourself, and then come back to the videos to see whether you got it right or wrong. So here in the last bit, we've got kana azru yasjudu li hadhihi al-asnam. So here again, we're dealing with an fi'l naqis jumla. So kana goes by itself, easy peasy. Then we have to find the ism of kana. Well, that'll be azar. So يسجد لهذه الأصنام is the khabar of kana, and then within that you've got يسجد, so you have to bring out the fa'il in here, so that will be the huwa, right? So then you've got the يسجد, which will be the fil, then you've got the huwa, which is the fa'il, and لهذه الأصنام is the maf'ul bihi. Within the maf'ul bihi, you have a jar, which is the li, and a hadha al-asnam as the majrur. Okay? Which is why, again, we said asnam is actually in this, in the kasra, and not reflected by a nasab. And
What is the jar here?
لهذه.
So li, I can't see li, but
It's there, sorry, yeah.
It is just because of it.
Yeah, so the le is in there. And lastly, in this one, again, we've got a fil nakis, so kana comes out, as is your ism of kana. Yeah, but here what I'd like you to see is that the asnam is in the state of nasab, right? Which is interesting, and you know, although, and the reason it is because not because of the complex, it's because of the ya'budu, right? The difference between this one and the previous is that you had the li. In this one, there isn't no li, it's just hadhihi. So here, if we broke it down, so ya'budu, hadhi, asnam, all three are in a state of nasab collectively. But individually, you take out your huwa again, alright? So ya'budu will be your fil, your huwa will be your fa'il, and hadhi al-asnama will be your maf'ul bihi. So the reason that asnama is in the state of nasab is not because it's the khabar of kana, because it's the maf'ul bihi of ya'budu. And that's why it reflects. Whereas asnami, the sentence previous to it, this one, is in the state of jar because of the jar majrur relationship. But lihadil asnama together is in the state of nasab because it's the maf'ul bihi collectively. That's your first chapter. Subhanaka wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.